Whoa. Here we go. Here we go. Welcome to the P2 Power Play podcast. I am your host, Kyle Wilson, alongside Diogo Kotscho.
Vamos que vamos.
Vamos.
Hey, today we have a very big special guest.
Big time. I'll let you introduce him first.
Oh, so how can I say is the Senior VP, Orlando City of Communication, Diogo Kotscho.
Welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys. Very excited for our chat.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was so hard to make it
this out.
happen with his schedule.
And last time was my fault. I took a trip, so that I completely apologize for that.
No problem.
So I'm glad you can come in and
Oh, it was your fault.
It was my
you
fault.
You almost was like, now I can't.
Done. Take him out.
Just blame Thiago. It's better.
Yeah.
Diogo, thank you again. Diogo is a good friend of mine. We almost moved on the same month to US.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that you're here, in our studio.
Did you guys know each other before?
Not before. Yeah. Actually, I know his wife.
Okay.
I used to study in the same school than your wife.
Yeah.
And it was funny that the month that I came to move to US, she was like, "Are you moving to United States?" Yes. Where? Orlando. And she was like, "Me too."
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, my husband is going to work in Orlando City. So I let you continue the story.
That's funny.
But thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure having you here. So, Diogo, I mean, a lot of people are excited with that. We have a lot of players that follow us, a lot of parents that see this. Yesterday, we had a special guest from the construction market that he was talking about how important is communication.
Yeah. So perfect timing, really. Yeah.
We have the guy right here. So how you start, like a lot of people wants to know that, like how you start, what you do, and yeah, pretty much.
I came from a family of journalists, so journalism and communication was in my blood since ever. So since my childhood, I wanted to be a sports journalist. Yeah. So I get into the college to be a sports journalist. But it's very tough to pay college in Brazil, in US, or everywhere in the world. So I had to move during my freshman year to work with like PR, with like corporate communication. Then I went to an agency and I started my career doing like PR and corporate communication. And after a couple of years, I was tired and sad to doing what I was not supposed to do, just because I had to pay my college and have like better money. And then I went to talk to my boss at that time, and I asked him, I have to step down. I'm too young to be doing something that I don't want to do.
How old you were?
I was a director already, but I was a very young director. I think I was like 25 or 26 years old.
25.
I had one child at that time. I have 4 now. And I was thinking to myself, so I'm still young, so if I want to do a change, it has to be now. Otherwise, life will hit you.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep in doing what you are doing forever. And then I went to talk to him, and he was like my mentor at that time. And he told me, hey, this is the worst day to you to ask to leave the company, because you just signed a contract with the main sponsor of the Brazilian national team. And they want us to take care of the communications of this contract. And I was thinking about you to work with the national team and being like the PR for this relationship. And then, okay, forget about that. I asked her to leave, so I'm not leaving the company. I want this job. And then I start to work with the Brazilian national team, doing all the travels, being with the guys, with the first team, with the female team at that time, the youth teams too. So it was a very busy and crazy years. Yeah. So we went to the Japan and Korea World Cup. We won that World Cup.
Yeah. So you were there with them?
I worked there with the team the whole time. I flew with the team. We stayed in the same hotel. I flew back with the team. I was in all the parades when we won the World Cup, and it was crazy. I was very young and very passionate about soccer. So
Can you imagine the stories you have?
It was my dream job. And then after a couple of years, some years, I think 5 or 6 years, I was again tired of like having to travel that much. So it was hurting my family. And then I quit and I opened my agency in Brazil. And then I started to work with my partners, and then I sold my agency in Brazil. I was working to myself with big players as Kaka, Roberto Carlos, Cafu. After it, Neymar and Genso was working with me. So I had many big clients in Brazil. And then Octagon, that is the biggest sports marketing agency in the world, they opened one office in Brazil because Brazil at that time will be hosting the World Cup and the Olympics in a few years. And then they opened one office in Brazil. And the guy who was my boss when I was working with the national team became Octagon's president in Brazil. And then he hired me. He asked me to come back, be his head of communications for Octagon. And then I took my clients to Octagon too. We did like a type of deal and merge. So all my clients became Octagon's clients too. And then I became the head of communication for Octagon. We did the World Cup for Octagon. We had 7 sponsors at that time. And
oh my goodness!
One of the sponsors, Flávio Augusto da Silva, who owns like WhatsApp, and WhatsApp was one of the World Cup sponsors. He came to us with this project and this idea to invest in soccer in the United States. And then my boss at that time, Alex Leitão, who is now the former CEO of Orlando City, told him, "Hey, I am searching and studying about MLS for a long time. I do think if you want to invest in US, MLS might be the best option."
How long ago was that?
It was 2 years before we moved it.
2012.
2013. Yeah. And then, like, at that time, we started the project. So Alex started the project. He started doing all the researches for Flávio. They figured out where to invest. So there was, at that time, 4 cities, I think, in the US that could receive one investment and like having a franchise. And they decided to Orlando, because Flávio was living here. He knew a little bit about the marketing, and like because of many reasons, Orlando made sense. And then in December 2014, I quit my job with Octagon and I accepted my position with Orlando City. So I moved to US. And then I started my job with Orlando City as a director of new ventures. Then I moved to director of communications, senior director of communications, VP of communications, and now senior VP of communications. In 7 years, it's been a crazy, crazy journey. And then last year, as probably everybody knows, so Flávio sold the club to the Will family. Yeah. And now the club belongs to the Will family. And we are very happy to see the project that started with like a PowerPoint in Brazil. Now it's a big and respectful club, not only in the US, but well-known all around the globe. And now part of a family who will make possible the club to grow and to take the next level. So it's we will have many very exciting years ahead of us.
I'm sure it's crazy to see the journey of where, like you said, where it started to where it's at now.
What a great career in crazy. 7 years. It was a lot.
But, I want to ask a question first because you talked about being at the World Cup. So you were with the players in the 2002 World Cup. You got any like crazy story or something that you saw, like maybe after winning, or something that I think would be great?
I have many stories. Of course, everybody's still alive, so we can't share all the stories.
Some you can't share.
But it was like when we won the World Cup. Yeah. So after the game, we went back to the hotel. We went to a big party, of course, hosted by FIFA in the downtown Tokyo, very close to Yokohama, where the final was. So we went to that party. In the morning before, we have to go back to the hotel, pack everything. Well, we were in the road for 64 days at that time.
Oh my goodness!
And then we started our journey back to Brazil. So we flew to LA, and like we were partying in the airplane, like the whole travel to LA. So we landed in LA. We had to get out of the plane, do immigration. So you know US better than I do. They never take it light. It was 1 year after the 9/11, so it was even worse. All the security and everything that was happening in the airport. So we had to went through security, and we stayed like a couple of hours in LA. Trying to keep our partying going in immigration.
Try to keep alive. Eh?
And then we went back to the plane and more like many hours to Brasilia in Brazil.
My goodness.
And then we did a big parade in Brasilia. So everybody was very happy and drunk. And then we went to Rio de Janeiro, to Sao Paulo. So I arrived in my house like 3 days after the World Cup. Like, after several parties, I didn't sleep, so we drank a lot.
That's crazy.
And I then went to my apartment, and I was in front of the door, and I pressed up the bell, and nobody answered. So I am in the road for 70 days, and nobody wants to see me. And then I click it again, and nobody. And then I call my wife at that time, and okay, where are you guys? So we are here. We are waiting for you. I said, but I'm in front of the door. And she opened the door and said, no, you're not. I said, don't we live in the 13th floor?
Oh my
No,
God.
we live in the 15th.
Oh,
so
my
give me 10 minutes. I'm arriving soon.
Yeah,
And then
where's
I
the
went,
party?
okay, with 2 more floors. I said, here I am. So after so many
was
parties
funny.
and so many
just
hotels,
forgot.
My
I forget where I
goodness.
live.
Well, you were gone for 7
I
days.
arrived and there's someone like coming
man.
back from a war in my house.
The wife was waiting with the flowers, chocolates, but on the second floor.
Yeah, on the right place. I
That's
was in
so
the wrong
funny.
place, yeah.
Ah, Dioguito. Diogo, the other thing like that I really would like to ask you is, I mean, there's few people that send me some questions like, what do you exactly do with the pro players? Like, what is communication is doing for the players? So just to help us understand.
Yeah, I used to work directly with players in the beginning of my career.
Yeah.
So my job at that time was to take care of the whole image and all the contracts they did with the image. Mm-hmm. So I never took care about any relationship with the clubs. So when they had to move from one club to another one, I was not involved on it. They had their own agents to do that.
Yeah.
Or sometimes someone from the family, some lawyers, but they have someone taking care of it. Mm-hmm. My job was only with the image. And I did the separation that time to making sure that the agents won't see me as a competitor, but as a partner. So they will allow me to work with them players because they saw at that time that I would be someone who would bring a different type of revenue to the players. Mm. And I won't jeopardize any relationship they had with the clubs and with the players. So we worked as a partners, and they saw me as a partners, and that was the type of work I was doing with the players. And then social media arrived, and I had to take care not only about the PR side of the players, but all the social media accounts and all the social media environment, and try to make them grow in this environment, to a point where my job was giving almost the same type of money that the players were getting for the clubs. So I was making the revenue growing. Someone like me, for any single player. So the players saw it, that it was really important, that they started to hire people to take care of it. So it created a business after a couple of years. And then now with Orlando City, I am in the other side, working for the club. So I don't work directly for the players. So my job is to take care of the image of the club itself. And below myself, we have 3 verticals. So we have the traditional communications and PR. We have digital communication and content.
What is the PR, just to explain that?
PR is public relations, so all the relationship with the media, so the traditional media. So all the press conferences, all the relationship with the media, all the press releases that the club does. It's my team who take care of it. Digital media and content is basically social media and all the platforms we are in. And broadcast and video creation. So every single thing that you see with our brand in a video, in TV or social media or anywhere, we create inside Orlando City. So it's part of my team who is creating that.
It's not third-party company.
We never ever hire third parties.
So you do all in-house?
All in-house.
Oh, it's hard. You created probably 3 different departments, like one for social media.
Yeah, it's 3 verticals of the same department because we work together. So social media, PR, video creations are very together. So we have to follow the same strategy, but they are 3 different verticals in the same department. And we decided to do everything in-house because to be organic, to people engage with you, they have to feel that you care. And they have to feel that you are working with it 24/7. It's a soccer club. It's not a company. It's not a brand. It's not like anything that when you follow a soccer club, you love that soccer club. So you won't engage with it, and it will be only organic for you if you feel that who is doing that love that thing as much as you do and know that thing as much as you do. So like to hire third party would sometimes make look better, but it won't look organic and won't speak to our fans in the way I think we do. So that's why, of course, we hire studios, we hire crew to do our broadcasts, but who is in front of camera, who is taking care of the strategy, who is really running the show, have to work to us like 24/7 now. The hours they can work for us, but they have to think about us 24/7.
24/7.
Let's bring in the passion.
Yeah,
right. That's what it's about. Because if you bring, like you said, you bring a third party, they're not going to have the same desire necessarily for.
They might be our fans too, but they won't know our fans as deep as they should know to talk from the heart with the fan. So the fan will figure out that the person who is doing that doesn't know as much as they should.
Sure.
They won't engage and they won't follow us the way they follow.
Right. They are in the office with you guys. Same
building, same office. We work together all the time.
Yeah.
So we went to your office. You know how it is. We have no separation. So if you get into our office in Orlando, so you will not figure out who does what. Because everybody's working together in the same space, so you have zero separations in the office.
Doors open.
Door opens all the time.
It's really cool. So Diogo, another question? I'm sorry, we're gonna shoot you a lot of questions here. So you were talking about communication. So what is the difference for everybody that's watching us? The communication with the agents, because you were talking about the communication, but there's the agents as well. You don't have conflict with that. We know that agents take care of the player, where he's going to play. So your position was also getting the sponsor for this player or just taking care of the image?
No, I work with the sponsorship too. It was part of my job. And I always had a deal with the players that if some company approached them directly, and they wanted to take care by themselves or with his agent, it would be fine. Okay. I would just charge them one amount of percentage if they wanted me to take care of that contract after it, or if they want to take care of the contract after any sign, I wouldn't get anything.
Was already in the contract, even if you use me or not?
I wouldn't work for this contract. They would have to take care of it, and it would be fine. Never happened like that, so this was one of the possibilities that nobody ever wanted to do. Yeah. Sometimes some company approached them directly, and they wanted me to negotiate the contract and deal with the contract, and then we had a different amount of money that we were talking about that time. Or they wanted me to engage with some companies, bring the whole business, taking care of the negotiation and taking care of the contract, and it was a different deal with that. So we have 3 different models. One, we never use it because they don't have time to to negotiate, taking care of the contract, taking care of the guys calling them all the time, asking for things. So they wanted someone to take care of the contract. So either way, or I was negotiating and taking care, or doing the prospect, doing the whole thing to the.
Do the players ask you a special request like I want Adidas? Do they do something like that?
They do, of course. They want to they grow up with some whole models. Yeah. So they the young players now they grow seeing Kaka, seeing Ronaldo, seeing Messi. So all the brands that were with those players, attached they want to be attached with this brand to people feel that they are going to the same patch. Right. So of course they ask it to have those brands. It's normal. And now we have all the esports environment, so they want to be on FIFA, they want to be with Konami, they want to look good on the game, so they want to have some type of partnership.
Change my hair on the
it's normal. They want to have partnership with all the social media platforms too. It's about money, of course, as everything in the world, but it's about feeling good and building them personal brands too. Because when you are attached with a brand, so you take all the good things of that brand philosophy. So I don't know, Adidas is like you mentioned, and is like around us for so many years, and they have a big and strong brand. So when you are attached with Adidas, so all that brand, all the things that make people love Adidas, like it became attached to you too. So that's why like we want big brands, and everybody, like all the players, they want to be attached with those brands
for a long time.
For a long time.
You mentioned about FIFA. I'm curious on that. You like FIFA, so Meta Media like FIFA. So FIFA contact you to ask, oh, can I have Kaka as a player in a FIFA? Or?
Yeah, no, having Kaka in the game is more a Liga partnership or a club partnership. So when you sign with a club or when you sign with a national team, we don't sign with a national team, but when you engage with a national team, or when we sign with a Liga like MLS, so it's part of your contract that your image will be used in the game. Normally is the way it works. Some leagues don't have it, and then they have to negotiate player by player. But it's getting normal at this time that the deal will be or with the club or with the league. But like EA Sports or even Konami, they approach like big players to be in the cover, to do some activations with them, to be like building content around the game. So like post that they are playing the game organically or doing any like type of esports event and being there to do some meet and greets. So they have contracts with several players around the world, not to be in the game, but to promote the game.
Do they get paid for that? Do you know that? Like to be on a FIFA?
Yeah, I know. They get paid.
Ooh,
That's crazy.
See?
Nobody do
Now, let
anything for
me ask you a follow-up question. What is the biggest deal, whether it was like from a monetary standpoint or maybe a business aspect? What was the biggest deal that you were able to achieve?
I can't talk about numbers, but my biggest... I had two big contracts.
Yeah.
I do think Gillette with Kaka was one of the biggest. It was a very big and long relationship with Gillette. And was not only about the money, but they did a very good job engaging him with many big players around the globe, not only in soccer. So we filmed with Roger Federer. We filmed with Formula One drivers. They had like we filmed with Messi, with Thierry Henry at that time was working for Gillette too. So they engaged with us in a brain way, very good, and of course the money was good for everybody too. And I do think the Bank Santander, when they did a very, very, very big activation with several Brazilian national players, and I was engaged in 4 negotiations at that time. So for me, it was one of the big negotiations I did because it was 4 contract with 4 Brazilian national team players in a World Cup year. So it was a very big contract to everybody and was one of the biggest deals I ever did.
Oh my goodness.
That's
that was
crazy.
great,
Yeah.
huh? Gillette was amazing.
And that was before, or that was was that separate from Orlando City, or was that all?
No, yeah, it was way before. I do think the Santander deal was for the 2006 World Cup, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And Gillette with Kaka started around 2005, and then it was like several years. I do think it ended in 2012 or 13.
Gotcha.
It was a very long contract.
No
So we renewed it several times. It was a very long and successful relationship with Gillette and Procter & Gamble.
That is great.
Big time, man, yeah.
So, by the way, I saw your picture on the Kaka Instagram. Oh my goodness, looks really good. You saw Silzito? I saw it. It's really good. Let's put the Meta Media sponsor.
He looks
Please.
old, and I am looking the same.
He looks old. That's it.
The Power Play podcast is sponsored by Meta Media.
Thank you so much, Meta Media. Also, I would like to say thank you for Mares Restaurant. We just did the deal yesterday with Mares. Arturo, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
We are waiting your food here today, okay? So we are very hungry. So, Diogo, I have another question. Like, I know you did the bachelor in Full Sail University. So what is, like, for people that is watching us, again, I always say that, like, what is your recommendation that someone that wants to work exactly what you do, like, what is the first step to be?
First step is we have to study our whole life. So when I moved to US, I felt the necessity of doing one more college degree to learn and to upgrade myself and to update myself with everything that was happening in the world. Communications changed all the time, so we have to keep posting. And then I did a visit with Kaka to the Full Sail campus here in Orlando. And like to everybody who had this opportunity, it's one of the most impressive campus in the world. If you want to work with media, with audio, with video, with like any type of media creation, it's very, very, very impressive. And then we stayed the whole afternoon with them. We talked a lot. They showed out the campus. They showed the equipments. They showed the studios. And that was extremely impressive. And then they called me like one day after it and say, hey, Diogo, we talked a lot. So we, like, you seem very, like, engaged with us. We love, like, the talking. So do you want to pursue a degree with us? And I said, yes, but I just moved it to U.S. So money is difficult.
Correct. Yes.
I don't know if I have time to do it. So I have I have to engage with this job. We are launching a club here. I'm very busy. And then we did a very good deal with them. With like they gave me a scholarship, and I am grateful for it forever. I love the course. They did a setup with me that was I was able to follow and to get my degree in 3 years. So I didn't stop. I didn't have any summer. So I went like month for month.
How long was the full sail?
It was supposed to be like you can do it in 3 years if you don't stop, or 4 years as any other degree in US. I did it in 3 years, and I'm very grateful because like they gave me the opportunity to update myself and to engage with so many good professors and good people that I met on that time. That like I love my alma mater, and for me it was one of the greatest opportunities I had here in the US. But I started my career, I went to journalism school in Brazil. So if you want to start a job in communication, so you have to study media or communication and taking care of your network. So since the first day. What I recommend to people is not only like keeping studying, but like engage with any opportunity you have to work, even if it's like has to be for free or for not the right money. I know life is difficult. You have to get paid, but engaging to people, like learning the job, meeting people, doing your job, increasing your personal brand, it will pay off in the future. So
it's making an investment in yourself
all the time. Yeah. And even when you grow when you are where you want to be, like keeping growing and keeping studying, keeping meeting people is extremely important.
Updating,
Let me ask you a question on that note. So like with Orlando City, do you go about hiring people yourself? Do you hire staff?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Of course, we have a very good HR that help us with the hiring. So we have a very good system with MLS, with all the compliance. Yeah. When we have to give opportunity to everybody to have the job with us. So it's not something as easy as call me or send me your resume. So we have a whole process and a whole compliance.
Diogo email right here, guys.
Drop it here.
It's not as easy like that. So we have a very big process. But of course, I am engaging in every single hire. Yeah. Because to work to us, you have to love soccer. You have to love sports. You have to like to meet all the necessities of the job too. But like we need to be sure that you'll be someone who will represent our brand in a way that it should be represented. Yeah. So it's very important to be engaged in every
so we are here, huh?
That's it.
We are here with Orlando City.
But look good. What skill sets? Because somebody's going to watch this maybe that wants to work for Orlando City or work for you, and what skill sets should somebody have to work for you?
In the communication department, you have to be like, we have 3 verticals. So we have people who are very good with media relations, and they can work for us in this area. Social media is one of the verticals that are growing a lot. Mm-hmm. So you have to be someone on top of every single new platform. You have to be someone who will be...
They come out fast.
Yeah, they come and they go fast. So you have to be someone who will be updated and knowing everything that's happening in the world to work in this area. In video creation, you have to be extremely creative to work with us. So we represent not what Orlando is well known around the world, but we really want to represent what Orlando is. And Orlando has such a very good young culture. So, and to engage with that, you have to be extremely creative. So we have many artists in Orlando. We have a very nice street culture in Orlando.
Yeah.
We have so many things happening around us that's not related to the theme parks. And knowing that, knowing to be creative, knowing to be updated, knowing how to deal with young people, because we have a very big young community around us, it's key to work with us. So being engaged with the community, being engaged with what Orlando is something we are looking for. And of course, loving soccer, loving sports, because this job, like any single job in sports, is very tough. So you have to work extra hours. You have to work in the weekends.
Oh, the weekends is a problem.
Yeah,
huh?
weekends is a problem. Yeah, we have games during the night. We have games during the weekend. We have two teams. We have the women's team with Orlando Pride. We have Orlando City. We have Orlando City B. We have our academy system, our youth system.
Oh my goodness.
So it's a big lift. It's a big work. And if you don't love what you do, like you should like pursue a career in any other company. But if you really love sports, if you love soccer, if you love our community, it's a job to apply.
Oh my
And so on that note, how important, like, as you kind of mentioned, is networking to the whole thing? Because like you could have people that probably have like a lot of skill in what they do, but if they don't actually have contacts, does a contact help?
It doesn't help you to get the job.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't. With all the compliance rules we have, I can't take recommendations from anybody. Of course, if anybody sent to me, oh, this guy is really good, the first thing I have to say is, okay,
Follow the process.
Go to the website, follow the process, engage with us in the right way, and we will find this person. If they are really good, we will find them through the process. Yeah. So network in this sense doesn't make anything for you, but when you have a very good personal brand, when you work it with people, when people can recommend you, this will be part of your resume. So I will see it, and of course, in any part of the process, I will be depending on the job, I will be contacting some people that know you, and they will say good things about you, and this will be this will go a long way with your personal brand. So I would. If it's someone that I respect or the club respect, or is like someone who is have the respect of the market, like knowing this person will go a long way with you. So this network in this sense helps you, but not to call us and say, okay, you should hire this person.
It's not a word that is earned. Yeah, you gotta earn your spot.
Earn your stripes.
Yeah. So how, like for example, a normal people can start getting these contacts, like. Because sometimes someone that someone can bring you another guy, but what is the tip advice that you can give?
Tiago, everybody wants to start the career working for the big clubs, so it doesn't work like that. So to achieve like the big leagues, the major league clubs, of course you always can start as an intern and grow with the club. This is a pathway too. But normally, you even to get an internship or a very entry level job. So the first thing that you do is your resume, and if you don't have anything in your resume that you never engage with any minor league, you never engaged with any type of sport, so it will be very tough to people give you a shot.
Yeah.
So the first thing that people would say, and again, it would be very difficult to start working for Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Milan, or the Brazilian national team. So the easiest way to start is engaging with the college programs, the sports college programs, working for them, engage with minor league clubs. Every single minor league club need help, and they will engage with you. And if you do a great job, it will be someone there that the big teams will contact, or someone that you are working in the minor leagues. They will go to a bigger league, and they will remember about you and say, okay, I worked with Thiago. Right. He was a very, he works a lot. He put the hours. He's very talented. I will recommend him to go to the major league too. So don't what I see like young people doing, and I do think it's wrong, is like they want to get out of the college and be in CEO in 1 year, and they get frustrated with that. So they
want everything now.
Yeah, they want. I want
become
to be
a millionaire in 1 month.
I can understand why like Real Madrid didn't call me and offer me the present job, and they get frustrated about it. Of course, I am exaggerating,
Yeah.
But it's a good
But,
reference. No, it's good.
Yeah, but if you don't put the hours, if you don't start in the lower level and grow, it's very rare that Real Madrid will call you.
Right.
It might happen here and there, but like I don't think this should be your pathway for the success.
Right.
So like starting with with the college, with the minor leagues, putting the hours, understanding the job. Of course, applying for bigger jobs and grow your career inside. When you get the shot, do everything you can to start growing. You will grow in the club and then move into different clubs, as I did in the past, or as everybody does. It's the pathway. Don't get out of the college and think that you'll be present in 1 year because it won't happen.
Done. Good advice. So yes, though definitely this happened. There's a lot of people here that think they're gonna become a millionaire.
It's the same thing like being on a soccer field. They think they can skip the steps and just be a
on
pro.
the developmental
Playing is
side.
the same. So if
Same
you
thing.
don't start very young,
right.
if you don't train, if you don't put the hours, if you don't get every single opportunity you have and like do well.
Yeah.
Again, it's very rare that Real Madrid will call you and say, "I saw you playing the streets. You're very good. Just come play.
Come
for
over.
us."
Yeah.
It
Here's the
doesn't
contract.
happen like that.
300,000 a week.
So in the front office, it's exactly the same in a different level.
Can they go to the front office and say, I want to talk with Diogo here. Help me.
I want to be the big boss.
Not only with me, they do it all the time, and it's very frustrating to see. So it doesn't work like that. It's almost disrespectful. So you should Of course, you have to apply to any kind of job, but knowing that if you didn't put all the hours before it and don't prepare yourself, it's a very long shot to work for any big club or big organization.
Right.
But if you do it, if you put the hours, if you have the experience, and if you want to work for a club, it's completely possible. Like every single club in the world, we are hiring.
Yeah.
So if you go to orlandocitysc.com jobs, you will find many opportunities with us. Please apply. But knowing that, to work for us, you have to be very talented.
Well, it's interesting because like every successful person we've talked to, they all say the same thing.
Yeah.
Experience and hard work.
Yeah.
There's no cheat.
Yeah.
Jerry Davis yesterday, he mentioned about you got to crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
You know, like they want to skip steps. So it's hard.
It's crazy. It makes a big difference.
Yeah, and now what we're going to have for you, we are trying to see if this guy can speak more Portuguese. You know, so he's going to do 2 questions with you. And let's see.
Fun.
What?
These are
My
always
writing
fun.
sometimes is terrible,
Makes
yeah?
it more fun.
But I think we almost asked about this, but this one.
Okay.
And he needs to answer in Portuguese.
Even better.
And you need to explain for people
I'm going to give this a shot. Are you ready?
I
I'll try.
ready.
He can cheat, you can see.
Como conseguir sponsor?
I put in English to help you, sponsor.
Better.
Yeah. So, como
Como conseguir
conseguir Yes.
Sponsor. Right?
Yes. What is...
A primeira coisa que você tem que fazer para conseguir um patrocinador
Yeah.
é ter uma boa plataforma,
Of course.
ter uma boa marca pessoal, ter alguém que possa negociar esse patrocinador com você, e aí, sem dúvida, você vai ter uma relação de sucesso.
Yeah, so can you
I think it
explain
was
that?
great. I can't share his secret.
Oh,
I can't
it's
share.
a good advice.
I can't share the secret. I can't share.
So basically, if you can repeat now in English, I appreciate it.
Now you have to grow your brand. You have to take care of your platforms. You have to have someone working with you who can negotiate those contracts, and then you get a very good sponsor.
See, easy.
It's easy. So I'm going to call Diogo after
This is
this.
my secret.
So the second question. Let's
Okay.
go.
Como você, I don't know what that says, definir
Yeah.
uma boa comunicação.
Cação.
Como você definir como boa comunicação?
Comunicação.
Comunicação.
Yes, it's doing good. It's getting better.
All right. I'm
So you understood, yeah?
No, I did. Of course.
I'm getting better. Last week I
Let's
wasn't
see if
good.
It was difficult in the beginning, but like,
Sorry.
you got it down.
I'm trying.
Yeah, okay. Your Portuguese is Almost better than my English. Não, uma boa comunicação começa com você entendendo o seu público, entendendo com quem você está falando, sobre quem você está falando e passar essa mensagem da maneira mais clara possível. Isso é comunicação.
And then,
of course.
Try.
Try.
Understanding.
I understand.
Yeah, done.
Easy.
So you gotta translate again.
No, good communication is just like knowing to who you are talking to, knowing what you want to say, and making it in a clear way. And this is communication.
You need to understand like how. I mean, I'm talking about the players. Like when you used to work with your company, helping the players. You used to be with them very close to understand that, or how you?
No, of course we have to be close. Of course we have to understand them. And the first thing we have to know is that you can't build a brand that's not legit. So if a guy is not a good guy, if the guy is not a very engaging guy, I can't build a new Kaka. After I worked with Kaka, the first question I got every time is, okay, I have a very young player. I want you to build the new Kaka. And I will say that this is impossible, not because your kid's not talented. This is one aspect of the job. But if you don't have the same skills and the same communications and the same brand, it's impossible.
It's the whole package.
What I can do for your player is understanding him, making sure that, of course, as everybody in the world, he has good skills and good aspects that some people will engage with it. My job will be to identify those aspects, making sure we communicate that in a nicer way, in a good way, and then people who engage with people like him will engage with him. So don't ask me to create a persona because it's impossible. This is not legit. And at the end of the day, nobody will engage with it because some way they will realize that this is fake. So I worked with several players. They all were different. But my job was to understand, okay, Roberto Carlos has this brand, Cafu has this brand, Kaka has this brand. Neymar, I worked with Neymar for a very short time, but Ganso was another very talented guy. I worked with him for a long time. So we had to understand many other players and clubs I worked in the past. So I understand the aspect of who they are and who they want to pursue. It was the key, not trying to build something that was not legit. It never works.
So, question, you talked about Kaka and what I guess my question is, what separated Kaka? So you had people that say, oh, can you make this guy the next Kaka? But what made Kaka so special?
I do think he was, first of all, he was extremely talented, and this isn't something that you don't learn. Sure. So, of course, he was the best player of the world in 1 year. He played several World Cup. He won World Cup. He won several titles in his career. He played for São Paulo, Real Madrid, Orlando City, AC Milan, the biggest clubs. So, of course, he made it by himself. But he had a very nice personal brand. And he was like that type of guy that you want to engage. And you want to be with your family. You want to be around him. And he has like this type of charisma is something that you don't build. It was he was born with it, and my job at that time was just to making sure that we are like talking to the right people, showing to the right people, engage with the right brands. So we did so many negotiations that in the end of the day, we didn't engage with that brand because this wouldn't be legit and organic to him.
Right. A good fit.
The brand, so like taking care of every single detail of his career and his life and his personal brand, I do think was the key, like to build his image, if you can say that. But it's very difficult to do the same with any other player. So. As I said, it's what is important is to understand what is that guy personal brand, who engage with him and make it happen and make it improve. So I don't want to say that we can't build someone as big as Kaka. We have players that they have bigger platforms than Kaka. And we will have many other players, so it's not impossible to have that amount of followers, of that amount of sponsors, of being as famous as he is and he was in the past. What I'm saying is you can't replicate it just knowing what we did with Kaka, because it worked with Kaka, but it doesn't mean that we work with you.
It's unique for everybody.
Yeah. Like the process is to understand what you are and all the benefits you have, and then start sharing those skills with as much people as you can, and people will engage with you. So sometimes, like, we like the good guys, but we like the bad guys too. And not the bad guys.
Sometimes sells good.
But sometimes, like, the guy's not the bad guy. Bad guy's not the right word, but someone, like, you don't have to be perfect to be loved. So, of course, if you are a guy who sometimes you want to party, if you're a guy that you want to say things about politics, or if you want to be more legit, like there is a lot of people in the world that will engage with you in this way. So what I can't do is to jeopardize it from a guy and making him look like Kaka all the time. It won't work. Yeah,
what I can say, I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but Kaka is one of the most complete players. You know, like, for example, every single brand wants to have Kaka as a big boy, you know, for the brand, because you never saw him like in the news, like doing something. He's a family guy. So I think this is one of the most hard thing to find in a soccer player, since we have a lot of parties, as you mentioned, on the World Cup, for example. You didn't disclose any secret party, but that's fine. But I mean, it's hard to find the players like Kaka.
Yeah, it might be hard, but doesn't mean, like, if you are a guy who, of course, likes to party in a sense that is responsible and you are doing your job, because in the end of the day, if you are not performing,
they're gonna blame you.
There is no miracle. Like, people won't engage with you in this sense. So, but we have so many players who are very well known as someone who likes to party and someone who likes to don't be that perfect. And they have so many followers in the world, and they engage with so many brands. So there is so many brands in the world that they don't want the perfect guy. They want someone more legit. They want someone more party. They want someone more fun. That's why it's important to understand who you are working for, and making the brand being as legit and organic as it can be. And it's just waiting for people who want someone or who love someone on that way, engage with them. And there is so many brands that they will prefer to engage with this person than someone like Kaka.
Right. Yeah, I ask you that because I think one of the how can I say, the big points, the big home run of Orlando City was to hire Kaka. On a moment of 2014, that, in my opinion, was one of the best decisions. Was a great guy with a good image, with a good relationship with the Brazilian people. So who did this movement? You help on that, because, in my opinion, was one of the biggest strategies from Orlando City.
I helped with the negotiation, but I do think, like, our former CEO and our former owner, I do think they built the project for Orlando City already thinking about having someone like Kaka. So he was the first name that they thought to be the face of the franchise in the first years. So all the project was made to receive Kaka. At some point, it was not possible, and then we had to start to change in the project.
What was the plan B? Can you tell us the plan B?
I can't say it was a plan B, but
just plan A.
There was a plan B in one in one part of the time, and then, like, Kaka became a possibility again and became like a reality. But, like, since the first day, I do think they thought about having him. So it was not something that, okay, now we have Kaka and we have to think about how
you
we can
start
use it.
Like
the project was used to have Kaka, and I do think, of course, Kaka brought many things to the club. But if you ask me what Kaka mainly brought to the club, I would say time. People say that you can buy time, so you can buy time. So I do think that Orlando City will be as well known as it is today, as relevant as it is today, will sell as we sell today, but in a much longer timeline than what we have when you brought Kaka. So in 3 years with Kaka, I do think took us to a level that without him would take more time. We will get in there with different players or with a different player. Maybe at the same time with a different player, different investment too. But I do think with Kaka, he brought to us the possibility of doing everything we did in a shorter time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, because
It's the value of a player.
I think it was 2014 that you got the Orlando City was open. Yeah, was 2014,
and we announced it in late 2013 that we would be playing MLS. In 2015. We announced it Kaka in the middle of the World Cup in 2014. And then we loaned him to Sao Paulo to play for 6 months because we are not playing at that time. And then he came back in December to us. And then, of course, we started our season in April.
And where he was playing before Orlando City?
AC Milan.
Oh,
and that was the difficulty because he had a contract with AC Milan at that time. That if AC Milan made the Champions League, the contract would renew automatically. So until the last game of the Italian Championship, we were waiting, and for the first time in my career, not cheering for AC Milan, just like to making sure that.
Like, man, and it came down to the wire. That's funny.
And it was us. Like, of course, Kaka wanted to win and wanted to go to the Champions League. Champions League is so big, and of course. It would delay the project in 1 or 2 years, but I do think he would come here anyway. But for us, in the project, for us was important to have him on the first year, so it was possible after they didn't get, of course. Then we started one negotiation with him, and like after yes and no's,
after the final,
many months of negotiation and talking with him.
So the whole staff was watching the games. Yeah.
Were you managing Kaka when he won the Best Player of the Year?
I was managing his image at that time, and I was in Zurich when he
well, how was that? That's got to be crazy.
We went to Japan for the FIFA Club World Cup final against Boca Juniors, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
2.
Then we played the game in Japan. Milan won, became a world champion, and then Kaka fleet that took a different flight from Japan to Zurich. I went to Zurich through Amsterdam, if I'm not wrong. And then I arrived like 1 hour before the
party
started. There. No. And then we were so tired. And then I went to the ceremony, and I was not even able to talk to Kaka because he was already inside the backstage and everything else. I was just watching the TV Globo helped me to get into the building because I was so late and like everybody was already inside the gala in Zurich. And then I watched it, and I went to congratulate him after it, and then we flew to Milan, and then he had one game during the weekend, and it was the game that the Milan presented to the fans, like the World Championship too. So it was a very chaotic.
You were in the same place that everybody. I mean, you were controlling his image there as well. You control how long the TV have access to him, or how does this work?
Not in a club level, of course. Every single club in the world they have their own PR team. So I had to work directly with like AC Milan and Real Madrid on that time to make sure that we will be doing what they wanted, and of course they would be allowing us to do what we wanted. Because many times, in the majority of the time, the clubs have different strategy than the players. They want to approach different markets. They want to please different people. And then, of course, I always had a very good relationship with the clubs. And then we could help them to achieve what they wanted. And they always allowed me to do what we wanted as a brand and working close with them, with the hours. It's not only media, it's all the sponsorship deals too. So we have to fleet to many places in the world to do some shootings for filming or for TV spots.
Imagine after that.
Meet and greets. And so we had to work closely with the clubs to allow us to do that, knowing the club strategy too. So it's about working together. So we have the same thing with Orlando City now. Yeah. So many players, they have their own people taking care of their personal brands. And I work with them too. So, and I do think it's nice because I know them job. I know what they want. So I do think we always build a very good relationship with those agents too, to make sure that the players are receiving the attention they need from us, being able to improve their brand where they want, and of course delivering to the club what they have to deliver, because at the end of the day, we pay their salaries.
Yeah. How long? I have two questions. How long you stay traveling the world after his getting the award, and if you came back to your home on the right floor?
No, I did. No, this time I did. It was not as chaotic as it was with the national team, so I had some couple of days in Milan to rest. No, it was fine. I don't remember. We went from Tokyo to Amsterdam and like straight to Zurich. I arrived. The gala was the night after the final, so even Kaka didn't arrive very early. So I do think he arrived like 2 or 3 hours before myself, because I do think he went directly from Tokyo to Zurich. My flight was different, but it was like, I don't know, maybe 18 hours.
Wow. And did he know? Did Kaka know before he got there that he won?
No.
So he had no idea.
No, they don't tell.
You have some idea because like the way people engage with you, it's different. But you realize it when you lose it in like the year before or in the year after it. Then you can compare how people are engaging with you.
Yeah, imagine.
So we were talking about it in Japan. So hey, the way it's looking like, I do think I won. But like you are only sure when like with Kaka and Pelé like went to the stage. And
do you remember who his competition was?
It was Messi and Ronaldo.
Oh, there you go.
I do think he's the only guy who bet Ronaldo and Messi.
My goodness.
After it, they are just like sharing prices and back and forth.
That's crazy.
That is amazing. So I have one question from Meta Media. So how do you feel, or how was working with the big players? I mean, you mentioned Kaka, Roberto Carlos, Cafu, Neymar. There's a lot of big players. So how was the
I think
feeling?
the secret is don't realize or don't treat them as they are big players. So in the end of the day, we are all the same thing. Yeah. So we have like very similar necessities. We have like in any sense very similar backgrounds. So they are workers as we are. And understanding that make you treat them as a normal person. I do think they appreciate it. But at the same time, you have to understand the schedule and the size of the work they do to being able to respect some aspects of this work. And of course, you have to treat them as a normal people, knowing that they are not normal people.
It's hard to pretend, huh?
It's very, it's difficult to have this sense because sometimes it's very tricky. And I saw many like professionals trying to live the player's life with them, being like too friendly and too like, and this is not good for anybody. Because in the end of the day, you will get frustrated because, of course, you don't do the same money, you don't live the same life, and you make the player uncomfortable because he will feel that you are trying to pretend to be someone you are not, and not respecting his times and his necessities. So I do think the secret is treat them as a normal person, but deeply understand all the aspects of the job to make like, it's a very different life they have. Yeah. Even being like human beings as we are, the life is completely different. So understand that, but in the same way, treating them as a normal person, I do think is a secret for the success.
Diogo, another question is like we talk a lot about kids, youth soccer. Like how old or at which level you think the players should have a communication person working with them or a manager? What is the age or what level you think is important for?
I don't think in some instances since the beginning is as early as possible, but of course they don't have money and resources to do it when they are young. Of course the clubs they have to help the players, the agents must help the players to be that, but as young as you can, it will avoid you to do some stupid mistakes that people do and hurt the image forever. So as soon as they can, I would recommend to have someone or to be engaging with the club communications team to making sure that everything you are doing is on brand with what you are. And I do think everybody in the club will help you to do that. If the club is not helping you, I do think you have to talk to your agent and make sure that he'll be doing that for you. And of course, in having someone thinking about you 24/7, working only with you, it's when you have a personal brand and a size that will allow you to have it. Otherwise, you'll be just for vanity paying someone to be your guy, but you don't really need it. It's just like doing this balance between your agent, your club, and yourself, and making sure that when will be the right time to have someone working only with you or working with just couple of players as big as you to being able to improve your brand, but not doing that because you think it's nice, but doing that because you feel that this person or this setup will take you to the next level. So it's a professional decision. It's not a decision that just to making nice, or to help someone, because at the end of the day, they want to have someone work with them because it's nice to tell people that you have someone work with you. At the same time, you want to help your friend or your childhood friend, and then you bring someone that doesn't have any experience on it with you, and in the end of the day, it will be just one more person doing something stupid with your brand and jeopardizing your brand and making it possible to make something that will hurt you forever and not helping you in any sense. So I do think the first step is to work with the club, work with your agent, and then we are in the right level, just getting someone to work with you.
It's the 3 steps, guys. Very important.
That's it. I got a question. Yeah. So is there a difference, like when you were working with the players directly? Is there a difference when they're with their club versus when they're with the national teams? Like Kaka's with AC Milan and then he goes to Brazil. How does that work for you?
No, it's completely different because every single club and national team, they have different strategy, and they have different relationship with the club, and they have different sponsors too. So for example, Kaka with AC Milan. AC Milan was Adidas, Kaka was Adidas, so it was very easy to us to avoid any type of brand that shouldn't be shown with him. When he was with the national team, it was completely different. So the Brazilian national team, it was at that time Nike. So even when, and of course, every single sponsor, every single Brazilian sponsor, they want to use the Kaka with the Brazilian national team jersey when possible. Like Gillette and Guaraná Antarctica, one of the 2 biggest sponsors from Kaka. At that moment, they were also the Brazilian national team sponsor. So they wanted to co-brand the 2 big activations they had. It was very difficult for us to navigate on this environment. Of course, it's different, so the challenges are different. But we could like talking and making sure that the contracts are made in the right way, avoid many tough conversations in the future. So we were at that time very well known in the marketing of very tough people to negotiate, because we wanted to make sure that the contract was made the contract was very well done. And Kaka's father, Bosco, was very, very engaged with him. And he did a very good job with Kaka and helping everybody around Kaka to making sure that the negotiation will be tough, the contract will be made in a very good way, and after the contract was signed, you would have a very smooth relationship because everything that was needed to be in the contract was there, and everybody was on the same page. Sometimes players, they just want to sign contracts and get the money as fast as they can with any single brand in the world. And sometimes they are engaged with brands that they shouldn't be engaging, and doing contracts that isn't very well done. And then all the problem and the work you didn't have when you signed the contract, you will have through the years of the contract. So we prefer to be the opposite and being tougher, negotiating, and then after it was just following the contract.
I received few questions from 2 media companies, and also I think this is going to help Meta Media. So I don't know. I mean, we are talking with the vice president, the senior vice president here. I think I should talk with someone that assists you, but here we go. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
So how can a media company get the credentials to be inside the field? to take pictures. So is this possible? How can they do? This was one of the questions.
No, it's possible. You have to apply through our website or send us a message. Of course, space is limited.
Yeah.
We can't host everybody that applies. And in the end of the day, it goes to the club strategy and the size of the company. So our decision goes to give space to a platform that will give us more followership,
exposure,
and everything else. Of course, following our strategy and following the size of it. But like we always try to do a good job and not allowing platforms to grow too, because if you work with the same platforms all the time, they will grow and nobody else will grow. So we always keep some spaces to give the opportunity to people that you are seeing that they are doing something nice in our community or they are trying to grow and give them a shot. Of course, we can't promise that they will go to every single game, but I do think we do a great job giving opportunity to new platforms or to the new people to work with us. But when we have a very important match, or if it's a final, if it's a playoff, it goes for the limitation of the space.
It's harder.
We have to give opportunity to those who will give us better coverage.
And they apply online?
They have to apply online, yeah.
Orlando City SC.com.
Go to the media
and then
page, and then
I'll go to the front desk and ask you, Diogo.
Yeah.
My friend.
And vamos que vamos. Guys, I think we are about to finish. You have any final question?
I did have one last question. I guess really two questions. The first one, what is the best goal for you as a Brazilian fan? What is the best goal you ever saw?
Tough question. Yeah. Very tough question. I do think in my career, 3 goals that was very important for me. When I saw it, it was emotional to me. Yeah. The first one was Ronaldo's first goal in the 2002 FIFA World Cup final. Mm. Because it was a very tough game. Like Germany was, they were like on top of us trying to score. And then like that goal gave us such a relief. It was at the end of the match, and it was very, it's unbelievable to put it in words. The first goal of Kaka, when he went back to the national team playing for, the coach was Dunga at that time. Okay. It was a very difficult moment for him. So it was after the World Cup we lost. So people were having some doubts about him. And the coach was not giving him the right motivation at that time. And then he was called for a game against Argentina. And he scored, and he was in the bench, and then Dunga gave him the opportunity, and after a couple of minutes, he scored one of the most beautiful goals he ever scored. So he took the ball in the midfield, he went with the ball until the box, and he scored, I do think, from out of the box. Yeah. It was very emotional to us because it was a validation of everything that he was playing in the club level and coming back to the national team. It was one of the most important goals I saw in front of me. And his first goal as our Orlando City player, like in our first match in 2015, we are losing the game. So we sold out the Camp World Stadium, 65,000 people.
65,000.
Yeah, it was great.
Against another club that was starting at the same day. So it was not against a club that was around us forever. It was also one club that was playing the first match. So we really didn't want to lose that game. And then in the last minute, he scored a goal in a free kick that was never his most strong things. And then seeing that stadium exploding in joy, it was very emotional to me. Not only because of the game, but because of the whole project. So when we work for something since the PowerPoint, and then you go to a match, you see 60,000 people in one stadium. Playing for that team, you saw the project. Right. And then someone score a last minute goal.
It erupts.
It was incredible to watch. So I do think those 3 goals for me was like very personal,
Mission
very
accomplished.
yeah.
I got one more question because we had Marcelo Gonzalez on. Do you know him?
Yeah, I was
know him.
about to ask that.
So we had him on and we were talking about Roberto Carlos's free kick where it was like this.
You were working with the Brazilian
Not
national team on this?
No, it was
98?
98.
Yeah.
No. I started work with the team in 2001.
Oh,
I'm not that old. Yeah.
So, his thoughts were he wasn't in the game, but he was on the bench, and he was like, he saw Roberto Carlos hit it, and he's like,
No, he saw Roberto Carlos giving the step back because he used to do that, but was a little bit more than usual. And he saw the
he obviously we know what happens. He hit it, and from his angle, he sees the ball going to the corner flag, and he's and then it goes back, boom, and he's like, whoa! So
that was crazy.
What did you think of that goal? That was it's got to be crazy.
I think that goal should be like people in the university of physics. They need to study that because that goal go against so many
physics
and laws of the nature that I as much as I watched that goal, I can't understand how that ball came back.
It's crazy.
Of course, there is some explanation about it, but I would like to see, I don't know, like National Geographic or all those channels. Please do some like type of a documentary about that goal and having like professionals and like professors talking about it. Because that goal is completely crazy.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Like a physical company could advertise as a communication.
And of course, I don't know, SpaceX. That goal should be, that is a good not normal. And I don't think, it never happened again. So I don't know if it was the day, it was something like happening with the earth, or have something with him.
We don't blame the goalie.
It's completely
But the best thing about it to me, at least having the conversation with Marcelo, was just his reaction because he's like, we were on the bench, we're like,
everybody was like, what
was that? And then it flies back.
That was really good.
I can understand it. I can.
But Diogo, thank you so much once again for coming. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Thank you for everything that you do for soccer, for the players, for our city. Yeah. Orlando, after 2014, that I moved to 2014. Changed everything. Yeah. I think you were one of the responsible to change the way that people communicate in Orlando, especially with soccer. So we really appreciate that. And you have a final considerations?
No, I mean, same thing as Diogo. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your story and time. And I learned a lot. I think it was great. And I think for anybody that's watching this, I think they can learn a lot of just how to be a very successful person like you and take it to the next step. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. And we are doing so many nice and new things with Orlando City with this new ownership. So I would recommend people to follow us. And we will have many exciting years ahead of us with the club. So if you are in Orlando, if you are listening to us from Orlando, engage with us because many beautiful things are ahead of us and we will be a very exciting team this year and the years to come.
Yes.
I agree.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Thank you so much. Everybody that is watching us, if you want to watch this in Portuguese, I need to speak in Portuguese to explain you guys. Você pode assistir, mudando settings e colocando em português. Se tú está queriendo escuchar en español, tú cambia los settings para español y tú puedes oír los podcasts en español también. And in English, you don't need to do anything. You just share with everybody. That today was a special day with the big guy right here, Diogo Kotscho. Thank you so much, guys, for everything. And let's go. Here we go. Next week. See you.